name is Chris. Some people call me Hans, but I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I've been collecting tapes since about 2006, 2007. I started collecting out of necessity as opposed to nostalgia. So I was a broke college kid like everybody else, and I went to film school, really experimental film school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I got tired of, the film studies courses shoving City of God and Amor Sparrows and all, you name it, down my throat, so I wanted to watch trash. Well, unfortunately, the DVDs were all super expensive because they were pretty new, so my only option was VHS. And a couple buddies of mine and I ran what was called Basement Cinema out of Mitchell B91, which is in the basement of Mitchell Hall at UWM, and we called it Basement Cinema, or all original. We watched the quadrilogy of Billy Jack films, Born Losers and all three Billy Jacks. We watched anything from that, which is more wholesome, through to one night a bunch of us got together and we watched films like Bat Pussy, so I ran the gamut. But really, through talking to those guys and kind of getting turned on to all sorts of different movies in college, I wanted to get into it more. And so we started going around and trying to find movies at the thrift stores, at the video stores in the area, and things like that. Well, with the video stores going out of business or transitioning to DVD, it made it really easy for us to get our hands on some pretty cool movies, so that's kind of what kick-started my whole collecting adventure, if you will. I already mentioned that it was kind of originally out of necessity, but, I'd be lying if I said I didn't keep movies that were on VHS that are also on Blu-ray or DVD, right? I still buy things on occasion that are out on other formats if I'm trying to fill out a certain portion of my collection, or it's a movie I really like and I feel like I want it on a certain format or medium. I collect because it's what I got all my movies on originally, and I add to it stuff that I can't readily find on DVD or Blu-ray. I mean, I have been transitioning over the last couple of years, trading on the groups and in the community, trading my tapes out for DVDs and Blu-rays, because I do enjoy what they have to offer as well, the commentary tracks or the special features that you just don't necessarily get with VHS releases, right? So there is that. That's pretty much why I still collect or still buy tapes on occasion. Of course, right now I have about 1,500 tapes in my collection, and I've really thinned it down over the last couple of years. So my wife and I moved into a new house about a year ago, and I was realizing that I was going to be hauling or moving upwards of 3,500 plus tapes. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm over it. So I removed a lot of stuff like, do I really need Die Hard on every format? No. So I removed a lot of the common stuff, and now I just have things that I either have a connection to for sentimental reasons, or I am filling out that portion of the catalog. But yeah, I trimmed it down. I'd like to get it down to around 500 or 1,000. Part of that is going to be getting these tapes into the hands of collectors that'll appreciate them, right? So I've been doing that over the last 2 years, which has led me to one of my favorite things about the tape communities, right? Is just kind of like the overall support. The tape communities in general are very supportive, and I'll say, there's pockets of garbage and there's pockets of super elitist people in there. But really, all those people are doing is shutting down whatever it is that the groups have to offer, right? Really, as long as you're open to everything that the community has to offer and you embrace it, then you're going to have a good time. You might be there looking for tapes, but you might come away with much more. For me, I've met people that I would consider real friends, right? My friend Eric, who's a local here in Milwaukee, my friend Mike, who's a local here in Milwaukee. I met them through the groups, really, through the Facebook groups in the community. I mean, real friendships, and, people living all over the United States. I see at the swaps regularly in the Midwest, Tape Eaters, Tape Assault. I've met people at South by Southwest from the tape groups. I've met people at, Cinema Wasteland, hang out with buddies from Cinema Wasteland. Real friends, though, like that I've met. People that I'd be like, hey, come on over for dinner, let's hang out, watch a movie, let's chuckle with our kids or whatever. Not just like some internet friends like Facebook likes to define or whatever. Whatever you put in, you're gonna get back as long as you're open to it and you're not shutting yourself off by being an elitist tape collector, right? Recently, I can tell you I've picked up stuff from people on the groups that are either raising money for short films, feature films, maybe they're selling art, maybe they are painting like Tony Agosta. Probably butchered your name, Tony, but fantastic painter. People support him when they can, and that's the kind of stuff. And just because it's not tape related doesn't mean that the community's not going to support it, right? It's got this awesome infrastructure there. My favorite tape, or my most prized tape, would have to be this copy of The Deep End which is a 70s coming-of-age film with Jane Asher in it. And I'll try not to show the front too much because there is nudity on it, and I cannot show the back for that reason. But essentially, it is a coming-of-age story that follows this teenage boy and a little bit older female as they kind of interact with each other in their day-to-day lives. It follows them for a little while, and it ends up with a tragic ending. I would say, you know, it feels a lot like a coming-of-age drama akin to The Last Summer with Barbara Hershey, or Road to Selena with Mimsy Farmer, both also favorite films of mine. The Deep End is fantastic, and I highly recommend people check it out, but this is my most prized tape. Not only is it super rare, it's a tape from the UK. It's put out by Capstan Video, which was a pretty limited run, as I understand it, and I've only ever seen one other copy of this pop up in the groups. I don't really look for it now that I have it, but I do know that Chad from the community as well located a copy last year sometime, so I'd been looking for it for a couple years. You know, it was a previous grail of mine, and I'll say that the story of this is pretty fun. So this guy on the groups had been posting about how he was trying to sell his collection. He'd been through some hardships and stuff, and the story kind of changed a few times over the years. Never sold to me, even though, you know, or my friend Eric, even though we were down 2.5 hours south of where he lived. And finally he said, you know, somebody come up and buy this. So we sent our friend Mike, and it so happened in the pictures that he sent us to look at for his collection that he was selling, this was right out in plain view. And I'm like, well, okay, Mike, go buy all this stuff, and I really want that tape. So even though it's a tough tape to find, even though it's probably not really heard of, and it's a UK tape of all things, it was in Wisconsin, just north of where we live. So it was pretty awesome that Mike snagged it for me and helped me get that into my collection. Of course, it's out on Blu-ray, but if you want to watch it, it's a great, great film. Let me talk about the rarest tape in my collection. It's debatable. A lot of people would talk about some of the shot on video tapes I have, or, you know, moguls that I own, or whatever. This, however, the one that I'll show you here in a second, is definitely the rarest tape in my mind that I own in my collection, and that is the 3D mold box from Germany of Killer Workout. It's pretty awesome. You can kind of see there as the light catches it. It is molded plastic, and it's a really cool release, right? Germany made these. They're kind of like those media light box inserts that they did for Nightmare on Elm Street or the Canon film ones. It's really, really neat, and they're super rare. I don't know how mass-produced these were, but I'd imagine because it's so brittle that these are just disintegrating over time, and they're probably pretty tough to come by. I have a few of them in my collection. Here's another one that I pulled. Danger Zone is another one of those 3D hard boxes from Germany. I also have Nightmare Weekend, the Trauma flick, and a few others. I've seen Sleepaway Camp, never owned that one, but this one, this Killer Workout, is the only one I've ever seen, and granted, her breast is punched in. That's pretty common for these, that there's dings and dents. I'll have to pull that out at some point. But yeah, great, great tape. Definitely probably the rarest tape in my collection. I mean, I generally, okay, even though I'm pretty easygoing and laid back for the most part, and, you know, joking on the groups and in the community, one thing that I don't really do often is talk about tapes that I want, and it's mostly because I've gotten burned a few times, right, over the years, is I talk about a tape that I want, and somebody helped me get it, and then it turns into some stupid competition, right, about some movie that probably nobody else cares about because, like, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I have a couple tapes that I'm after right now and have been after for a long time. One of them is the Last Summer on Allied Artists, a VHS copy of it. I do have another copy of it already, but not that particular release, so keeping an eye out for that. Probably not gonna happen, and if it does, it'll cost a pretty penny, you know? I'll tell you what, so I've been kind of transitioning to Blu-ray and DVD these last couple of years and trading out tapes in certain cases, but that said, there are absolutely tapes that I'm looking to add. I am a huge fan of home invasion films, and a lot of those didn't necessarily make it onto other formats, right? They're trapped on VHS, and so because of that, I'm still hunting those down because I really want to watch them. Really, any home invasion film that I don't own already on VHS or DVD, I'd like to get my hands on. So a lot of people like their horror movies, a lot of people like their adult films, a lot of people like their, you know, SOVs particularly. I collect a little bit of everything, but I really specifically hone in on home invasion films, subgenre wise, and I also like sex comedies a lot. I have a lot of sex comedies. Here's a sex comedy that I can show you that I pulled for this. Hot Times, big box, put out by Monterey there, so it's a cool one. Still in the wrapping that Rocco from the groups got it to me, and I haven't watched it yet, Rocco. Of course, that's the story of pretty much every tape collector, right? I also like the home invasion flicks. Here's one of my favorites. Even though it's common, it's a Warner clam. It's one of my favorite films of all time. Wait Until Dark, 60s flick with Hepburn in it. Yeah, no, it's great. Basically, I don't really want to tell you but like what it's about, but she's blind, she lives in an apartment, and drugs get hidden in her apartment. The whole movie is like fantastic with great atmosphere. It's creepy, the soundtrack is great. It's got Hepburn and Alan Arkin's also in it too, so great movie. Highly recommend checking it out. Definitely on DVD. This clam might not be the most common, it probably is, but the slip is readily available too. I also collect German tapes. I'm pretty well known for having the German tapes. My brother still lives in Germany and helps me get tapes on occasion. And here are some tapes. I'll talk about the types of tapes that they have, right? I already showed you the 3D molded plastic, the 3D hard box that they call them. It's like a plastic clam with that raised molded plastic on it. They also have hard boxes. This is a cardboard cover over a plastic clam, and they open up. They're really fragile. You kind of have to glue them after. Yeah, you can see this one needs to be re-glued, but it's pretty common. It's not damaged or anything. It's just the glue on the seam dries out. But yeah, this is a hard box. Let's see, part of the Lamberto Bava made for TV series. This is Graveyard Disturbance. The other one, this is a glitter box in Germany. It's a hard box, but it's glittery. You can kind of see the sheen there. Okay, it's called a glitter box. This is the Ogre, also known as Ghost House 2. This one took me a couple years to track down. It was pretty tough to find. It's also part of the made-for-TV series from Lamberto Bava. We have Dinner with a Vampire, part of that same series, and just a regular clamshell. The last one in that series, the fourth one, is Back from Hell here. So, took a while to get all four of these for sure, but yeah. So I collect German tapes. The one that I didn't pull, I have a couple left, not many anymore, but the glass boxes, they're similar to the Japanese ones. They're very fragile, and in fact, I'm looking for some empty glass boxes so that I can fix two of them that shattered or broke in the move. I also like to buy, when I can find them, tapes that directors put out themselves. And yeah, I still from time to time buy like tapes that directors are putting out now of their current works, but very rarely. This is more along the lines of short films or feature films that they put out in the early 2000s, mid 2000s or earlier. Like for example, Lucky to Live in America. This director, it's a short film, kind of a movie about the rave culture, and it starts out as just like a small documentary of a group of friends in the rave culture, and then degrades and turns into like almost like an August Underground style gore flick. But yeah, that's that one. Another one that's on the shelf, this one here, director paper maches the covers. You can get these from his website. I only needed Hot Dogs on the Run in this series. I have the rest of them up on the shelf behind me, but I recently acquired this one. He made them and put them back in stock. But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous and fun. The other one, this is the one that I want to talk about too, because it's got ties to the tape community, right? So this guy, Ian Foss Wood, his name's not even on the tape, but the guy was a flash in the pan in the tape groups, and he was trying to raise money, bless his heart, for his band Regicide. And so here's the tape that I got from him. So he's trying to raise money, and that's the back there. There's 4 songs on here, and I'll talk about it in a second. But he was trying to raise money so that his band Regicide could put out a new album. And, you know, we've been waiting on it. I know it hasn't happened, but he was on the groups for maybe just a couple weeks because it was pretty apparent to everybody that was an actual collector that, yeah, he didn't really have any intention of collecting. He just wanted to raise money for his album. I don't care. I thought it was pretty cool. Plus, I bought this tape from him to support him, and I happen to know that only like 2 of these made it out into the community, so it's pretty cool. But basically what it is Retrosod live at the Snot Box, which is hilarious because it's their practice space, I guess. And that's where they call it the Snot Box. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But on the back, you could see another band member, and there was some drama there. He was telling me about it when I bought it from him. I don't really remember the context, but the drummer, Gortek, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, Gortek with the little hammer there. Yeah, so Gortek left the band or something, and they needed money. He had the money or something, and I guess basically he put out this tape. It was like $20 shipped. It's got Sodom and Gonorrhea, Adam's Wicked Apple, Goatsy, after the internet site, and Twins of Evil. But I don't even care about the performances, right? I mean, they've got the show where they played these 4 songs or whatever on here, or parts of that show. The charming part of it is the tryout tapes, right? So Ian and a couple other band members have all their footage from when they were trying out for the band. They decided to record it. So it's very apparent that Ian is a fan of 2 things: Marilyn Manson, 100%, because he sings Marilyn Manson songs, and then also Third Eye Blind. Kind of a stark juxtaposition, if you will. Anyway, it's charming. So recently I've been working on a website called catacombsdead.com with my friends Mike and Eric, who are also local tape collectors. They've been a part of the communities for a couple years, or a number of years now, and we've come into some big hauls. Like, more recently, we got a lot of tapes for upwards of around 5,000 tapes. You know, a lot of it was very common stuff that we just cast aside, or, you know, unfortunately had to toss out for a number of reasons, but we kept a lot of that stuff, and it's in our storage unit. We've also gotten another couple of hauls this year where we've amassed all these tapes. We've picked what we want from them so that we can get them into our collections, and now we're starting this site so that we can help other collectors get their hands on things that they might want. Some of it's more common things like Friday the 13th or Maniac Cop or Spookies or Chopping Mall, things like that. And then some of it's a little bit more obscure, so it's kind of exciting for us. We've been working on this for a while. The genesis of this was a swap that I put on with my friend Eric helping me out a few years ago here in the Milwaukee area, and we plan to do that again in the near future, especially now that we have the site up and running. And it seems like some of these tape swaps and things are kind of going the way of the buffalo, unfortunately, in the Midwest, so we're going to hopefully get it back up and running in the near future. As far as recent acquisitions go, that's about it. I mean, we've had our hands full kind of sorting through all these tapes and getting them cataloged and getting them up on the site and learning that whole process, and that's about it. Trading is one of my favorite parts of the groups, and I've done a lot of it over the years. So it's more recently involving Blu-ray and DVD, but not always. So one of my favorite things to do is kind of get involved with people and do these blind trades. So I'll do a box, I'll put a box together, and I'll send it to somebody in exchange for a box that they send me. And it's kind of a risk you're willing to take, I guess, if you don't know each other all too well, but it's fun. For example, one of my favorite ones, and it is my favorite blind trade, was Dustin from the community, the Facebook groups. So he and I didn't really know each other. We still, you know, are acquaintances through the groups, but he and I agreed to trade boxes and had no idea really what he liked for the most part, and I'm very hard to shop for, but it worked out really well. And I got things like tapes that I never would have had, maybe some, he gave me some of his band's music and things on cassette, and books. I got a B-Movie Girls book, and I got was it Color Me Blood Red or 2000 Maniacs, one of the Herschel Gordon Lewis tie-ins, which was fantastic. A bunch of tapes, all kinds of stuff, posters. It was a great trade, and that's the beauty of it, right? Is you don't know who these people are necessarily, but you get to know them through, you know, building kind of a relationship of sorts, I guess is what you'd call it, getting to know each other and kind of communicating. It's one of those things that trades, it's like you're kind of stripping out the monetary value. Yeah, you can stack a trade or you can kind of level it out based on what you think things are going to be worth. The fact of the matter is, when you talk about tapes costing money, right? The market of tapes is so like volatile that you never know what's worth what unless you do research constantly, right? Like you might think like Spookies is a $2 tape, and then there or $10 tape, and there it is going for like $100. So it's just crazy. So the nice thing about trades though, and talking about money, is that it doesn't have to be dollar for dollar. It usually isn't. It's ballpark. I like doing it just because it ties into the community, really. It's communicating with people, it's having fun, and you're getting to know people that share the same hobby. Like, let's face it, right? Like, I don't know people outside of my friends that are local collectors, specifically collectors. Like, my family doesn't give a crap that I collect VHS. They think it's kind of weird or cool that I have all these movies, but yeah. It is what it is. So that's on trading, and I feel like I want to do more of that. I've been getting into more of I'm going to trade out VHS for Blu-ray, and my friend Carson and Grizz have helped me do that. So I helped Grizz get the full set of Sleepaway Camp movies on VHS, and he got me the Blu-rays, and now those are out of print. So, well, 2 and 3 are. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm moving in a certain direction. Other people are still very passionate about VHS as a medium, which is great, and I'm happy to help them get their hands on things. Carson too. Carson's traded me a ton of Blu-rays and DVDs. More notably, he got me the three disc set of Blood Rage and Pieces with the puzzle. In exchange, I got him the Pieces Vestron and a bunch of other tapes. I don't remember what, but it was fantastic. He really, Carson, in conversation with him and coming out of those trades, we got to know each other more and more and work on stuff, and now pretty good buds. So it's pretty awesome, and that's why I like trading. I've been rambling for a while here, and I hope you're all kind of listening to this and made it through, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate what VHSurfer here is doing, and Meet the Collectors, kind of a great series going on here. Seeing people that are new to the scene or new to the community, and I'm excited to get to know them a little bit more and see what they've got collecting, because everybody's got like a little corner of the VHS collection that not everybody else has, like dramas or documentaries. Not everybody collects that kind of stuff, so it's pretty neat. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble. Again, I'm Chris, and I hope you all have a good rest of the year and find some treasures.